What is up, world? Welcome to Apocaflix Now, the movie hangout show from Apocaflix Movies. We got a full crew here today. We're going to get into some really cool stuff, including the Mortal Kombat spoiler review and our final thoughts on the entire series of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I'll go ahead and introduce the crew. I'm your host, Jacob Bartley. We have Gio Ramos here, Brian Avalosino, Jake Berlin, and Jesse Swift. Some of you might know him from the Schmodown.
And Flickin' Reel.
Guys.
And Flickin' Reel.
Thanks, Jake. Appreciate you.
How's it going, guys?
I'm gonna let that one slide.
Jacob, I gotta say, man, every time we start a show, and you timed it perfectly this time, when you unmute yourself, you can hear yourself doing this.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
And you timed it perfectly today where it was quiet, and then you started talking so you can hear yourself doing this.
I thought you added that special effect in. That's pretty cool.
I definitely thought I was eating my Hot Pocket off screen, so I was just sitting there
So
I was like, hey, guys, what's up? How's it going?
Jake, you definitely made it sound like you were going to bring him in.
So I guess I'm on the panel today. Hey, guys.
Yeah.
What's up?
I'm jealous of your shirt, Jesse. I was thinking about it today. I need to get a Mortal Kombat shirt. What's wrong with me?
I just thought about it. And I was like, let me show you the best Mortal Kombat shirt that I have. But I was like, ooh, currently my fiance has it because she was wearing it to our
that's a pretty cool one.
Mortal Kombat screening. But it's I don't know if you've seen those shirts that have like the little red square on them and they're like a little kind of funny cartoon. But anyways, it says my first fatality, and it's Sub-Zero holding Johnny Cage's like head and spine.
Oh.
That's pretty cool, man.
Okay. Is that something we could possibly see?
Well,
you mean he means in
the movie.
No.
In the movie.
No,
like Johnny Cage.
Could we see Johnny Cage's spine in the movie? Like, is that something that could happen?
I guess we'll if we get that far, they better not kill Johnny Cage.
I guess we'll talk about it.
But
there's already a bad track record with Johnny Cage dying at the beginning of a sequel.
Exactly. So, but we'll get into that. I'm sure that'll come up here in a minute. But we're gonna get to the movie watching challenge that we do here at Apocaflix Movies.
Can someone tell Chuck he's full of crap? Because that never happened.
Oh wow, jumping around, moving quick. But yeah, for those of you who don't know, the movie watching challenge. Each week, one of us are challenged to watch a movie that we haven't seen. 4 movies are submitted from the Apocaflix crew members, and then one way or another, a movie is chosen and somebody gets to watch it. And Gio was challenged last week, and he finally watched The Nightmare Before Christmas.
My pick. Woohoo.
I can't believe this is one of the biggest shockers of movies that somebody hasn't seen since we've been doing this. So yeah, Gio, and no pressure. If you didn't like it, I want your honest opinion.
I don't know. I think if you don't like it, you better lie on this one.
Gio, the floor is yours, man. What'd you think?
Gio, it's okay.
You're gonna hurt Keith very badly too, not just Brian.
Yeah.
So this movie came out 28 years ago. Correct me if I'm wrong. I might be off a year.
Ow.
I know. I was like, oh.
Yeah, I am 30 and a half and watching this for the first time. And I'll say this, look, I get it. I do. The musical pieces, the tunes, they're catchy. The animation is great. I love the contrast between like Halloween and Christmas. That looked great. Honestly, if you told me that Tim Burton directed this and I did no research, I totally would have bought into that. I mean, the music, I believe Danny Elfman had a major part in that. He did a great job. Yeah, I wish I saw this when I was a kid, honestly. I think I would have liked it a lot more. That's not to say there aren't some good things in this movie. There definitely are. It really caught my attention when are we going spoilers? I mean, it's like 20,
it's like 30 years old. Yes.
I'm just saying, okay, people are like, I can't believe it, you know.
Don't spoil what happens to Sandy Claus, man. I haven't seen it all the way through.
But it's just I don't know, like I got the film's message, you know, you try and discover new things and you try it out and you think you're doing the right thing, but you end up doing, even worse. And it's just like, I get that. I get the message. I love how at the end things kind of come together and the message about, positivity and the true spirit of Christmas. But it felt like it had Grinch vibes in there. And again, this is somebody who saw the movie 25 plus years later. So overall, there's some good stuff about it. I wish I saw it as a kid. Do I regret seeing it? No, I don't. So that's pretty much it. So
That's fair.
yeah,
I'm not too surprised on that response. I mean, I saw it. I watched it like 20 times when I was a kid, at least, probably more times than that. So it's pretty nostalgic for me. But well, there you go. There's Gio's thoughts on The Nightmare Before Christmas.
We do have a question in the chat for Gio, though.
Yes.
This is an important one. Is it a Halloween or a Christmas movie?
I'm going to go Christmas because Halloween is definitely a part of the movie, but the character motivations, the meaning, all that, the message, it's heavily more Christmas. So for me, I'm going to go Christmas movie.
Fair enough.
Definitely Halloween themes in there, but
I think I agree with you, Gio, because they're all mainly Halloween characters who have to get thrown into the Christmas world. So makes sense.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, and Jack, the Pumpkin King, he's a cool guy. Yeah.
Of course.
Hey, did the boogeyman scare the crap out of you? I mean, you're an adult now, but the boogeyman, is that his name? He's still very creepy to me. I see his decorations when the Christmas decorations go up, and it's terrifying.
What was kind of creepy was the Frankenstein-looking professor, keeping a girl locked in his dungeon, and like, God damn, where is this movie going? Like, but yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. I will show it to my nephews and nieces, assuming they probably already seen it. But yeah, cool choice.
Awesome. Well, we all know who is challenged next, but Gio, why don't you let them know who you are challenging?
So I decided to challenge Jake, and y'all better vote for one of these movies that are on the list because I'm tired of putting it on the list. I'll say that. So.
Well, I'm sure they'll vote for at least one, but that makes sense though because we keep for a while our list was very short, but Brian added some movies, so we should be a little.
Oh, did you guys go look?
I haven't yet, but I will update mine. So, Jake, are you going to be putting up a poll or doing a random number?
I will be doing a poll, and the poll goes up in 2 minutes.
Awesome. Well, there you go. Look out for that poll. Scheduled. And Brian, let's reveal the movies.
First, we forgot to do this.
Yeah, I know. Jacob didn't segue me. He didn't segue me. So
it's a crazy show today, guys.
I just let it go. I didn't want to bash him too hard, but that's Brian's job apparently. So.
No worries.
Bash him or to push the button?
To bring it up that he forgot it.
We finally got it right for a couple of weeks, and then we just skip it completely.
Well,
that's
all right.
my bad.
Here is Jake's 4 movies that he is being challenged to potentially. Oh, look, it's the 25th hour. He's never been challenged to that one before. Oh, look it's Kiss of the Dragon. Never been challenged that one before either. And now this one's interesting. Kubo and the Two Strings. Never seen that one. And apparently Moon Knight, Jake has said has been on there a bunch of times before too.
Moonlight, not Moon Knight, Moonlight.
I said Moonlight.
You said Moon Knight.
It sounded like you said Moon Knight.
Yeah,
Moonlight.
You said
I did not. Yeah, you did. So, yes, we got 25th Hour, Kiss of the Dragon, Kubo and the Two Strings, and Moonlight.
Well, there you have it. Like Jake said.
I want to say one thing real quick to my fellow Apocaflix panel members here. Can you guys start challenging me to movies that aren't the same every time I've challenged? So here's what I'm doing. Here's what I'm doing. I'm watching all 4 this week.
Oh,
that way you guys move on because I've literally seen Kiss of the Dragon and what was the 25th hour? The last like 5 times I've been challenged.
Well, there's a reason for that because the list was short.
I'm watching all 4 this week.
I'm calling BS on the Moonlight one because you only added that after I watched it. So
I can go back to previous episodes and find it.
Well, Moonlight hasn't shown up as often. Kubo and the Two Strings has once or twice, but a while ago. The other 2, though, are like every time.
Yes.
But
That is true.
I think we just all need to go in and add more movies, and that should solve the problem.
Well, I just added about 75, so go for it.
Well,
75.
please go vote on that poll. It should be up by now. Is that correct, Jake?
It is up right now on our community.
Oh,
page
well,
on YouTube.
he's going to watch all 4. I guess you're deciding which one he's going to watch first.
Yes,
Like, is that right? You'll go in order of percentage, right?
exactly. That's
And
what
maybe you don't get to the 4th one.
That's exactly what I'll do. Sure.
Well, there you go. You determine the order of when Jake will watch these movies. Before we get to Mortal Kombat spoiler discussion, we do have something pretty cool to show you guys, and I'll throw it to Jake for that.
I'm just going to show you. I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to show
Is
you.
it the Streamlab?
No, we will get to that after I show this. The super chat will come up next. Yes. Something is coming next week, guys, and it's here on the channel. Something is coming back on the channel, and I'm just going to show you rather than tell you. So here you go.
Oh.
The Republic will be reorganized into the first galactic empire.
Yay.
That was pretty fucking impressive.
Hey, please tell me we're getting a shirt of that one,
Oh yeah, there will be a shirt up.
because that might be your best one yet of Fandalorian Club design.
Oh, I didn't make that one. So
You didn't?
So
Okay.
I have officially moved on from making any type of those images, and that is full blown credit to Mr. Boomstick himself.
Awesome.
He is a graphic designer that I've talked with on Twitter. He does a lot of stuff in the community, and he has graciously done all of our Marvel Rewinds and our Fandalorian Club stuff. So kudos to Boomstick.
Well, no offense to your designs, Jake, because I love those. I have a shirt for each one, but that one looks incredible. It really does.
Yeah, so a week from Friday, guys, the Fandalorian Club returns. We won't be doing next Tuesday because we have a show on Tuesday. Maybe we'll talk about the first episode, or we'll save both for that Friday. But every Friday from here on out, minus this one, the Fandalorian Club for Bad Batch.
I'm actually pretty excited for that. I need some new Star Wars in my life. But let's move on to what you all came here for, and that is the Mortal Kombat spoiler discussion. We are here to do it. I've been both very excited for this and dreading it as well. Because I'm sure we all have some mixed emotions.
Ooh.
And I'm glad Jesse's here to bring a little bit of enthusiasm as a Mortal Kombat fan. I don't even know if he likes the movie or not, but we shall see. Well, if you guys don't know already, a few of us here at Apocaflix are huge Mortal Kombat fans, just of the video games, the old movies, the mythology. I never said that we were experts. You know, Gio and I don't claim to be experts, but
You guys are experts.
We're pretty well versed in the mythology. I'm guessing Jesse knows probably more than we do. I'm pretty comfortable to say that.
You just put all the pressure on our guest.
Yeah, no, but he knows what he's talking about. He's
Jake,
got it.
are you with me and have never played the game?
Never, not once.
Really? Like, not even with some buddies, like play one match real quick or anything like that?
Not once.
Maybe like when the original,
Like when
came
I was
out,
when I was in elementary school, I would go to like my friend's house and we'd play Mortal Kombat. It was just the thing.
I now have to ask a question. Jake, do you have an Xbox by chance?
I do.
Do it, bro. Get 11. Let's go. Let's go a few rounds. Take off the suit.
You know, I'm actually thinking about getting 11 on Switch. I haven't played it on that.
have it
My
on Switch.
question is if this and Keith, I see you in the background. I'll bring you in a sec. If this franchise continues in movie form, is Terminator going to be involved in this? Is Joker going to be in this? Because aren't they in the Mortal Kombat games?
Well,
They're DLC characters, but they're not canonical. It's like they've had Freddy Krueger on there. They always
But movie canon's different than video game
You
canon.
could-
Just saying.
And God, you are just trying to light a.
I sure as hell am.
Flame.
Sure
I'm
as
just gonna
hell
keep
am.
chewing this 3-day-old Little Caesars.
There you go.
I will say it is possible with the WB owned characters, but
That'd be
I don't
interesting.
think they would do that.
Real quick,
WB do Alien and Predator because those are now Disney-owned properties.
that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Real quick, two things. I'm going to bring Keith in, but also I want to read the super chat. We got one from Mr. Johnny Quest. Thank you so much, Johnny. Appreciate it, man. By the way, first week of Falcon and Winter Soldier was the premiere of Zack Snyder's Justice League on HBO Max. The finale, Captain America Winter Soldier, had Mortal Kombat and the Usman fight. What a couple of weekends. That's true. I actually watched the Usman fight. It was on where I was at. So, but I'll go ahead and bring Keith in as well for 6 minutes.
Yeah, it was a crazy weekend. Keith,
Keith
what's
Barnes.
going on?
Keith's drinking tea because he's ready to
Guys.
spill it.
Got my Baymax coffee mug here.
Baymax.
cheers.
I love Baymax.
So
Make
I'm
Baymax
I
a
just-
DLC character.
I want so we talked about this behind the scenes a little bit. For the most part, this is really going to be a conversation between a couple of gentlemen because and Brian and I know about the movies. We know about the movie, I should say. But if we get into any kind of lore, these four gentlemen are going to go like all in on this conversation. Brian and I
got
will
something
pretty
for
much,
everybody.
yeah, well, exactly. There you go. We'll probably more than likely have
Oh, it has
DLC
Legacy
down
on
there?
there too.
Yep.
I
Season
have
1,
the-
season 2, I had to buy separately.
I just have the double feature with the first two. I wish Annihilation wasn't in there though. But yeah, I
You
mean,
gotta have a reason to drink sometimes.
for Jake and Brian, I mean, you guys can still approach this as any movie, like you're reviewing any type of movie. You know, it could be you didn't know anything about some
That's
other movie that
literally
you
how we
watched. So
went
that's how you have
into
to
it.
approach it. So real quick, I think maybe we need to just go around real quick and maybe just give our general thoughts and then just full blown spoiler discussion. Anybody can bring up anything they want. I'll just go first real quick on my first initial thoughts. Like when I watched it the first time, it happened so fast. I was like, oh my goodness, everything's happening so fast. And the movie was paced very fast. That's why. And I just didn't have, I couldn't process it all and just went home, thought about it. I watched it. I started it again that same night. I watched the opening scene.
Gosh.
And I've watched it fully a second time and here and there skimmed through it. So, and I'm just glad we got something as Mortal Kombat fans. And I enjoyed the movie. I had fun with it. There are certain characters that I really liked. There are certain aspects of the mythology they handled that I really liked. I understand some of the complaints that I completely agree with. Some of the complaints I have a response to from my perspective, but overall I am disappointed in it because it was my number one most anticipated movie of the year.
Dude,
so
you and me both, bro.
obviously it didn't meet that, but I'm just glad we got it. And I pray and hope because I do think they got some some really good actors, some good characters. So I hope they can just do a sequel or something going forward. Those are my general thoughts. Let's just go straight through. Gio, what are your general thoughts, man?
Disappointed. Look, the video game genre has had a bunch of bad to okay to just fine movies. And what this ultimately was for me was just a fine movie. Now, I've been following this project since the Kevin Tancharoen days when he made his Mortal Kombat Rebirth.
I just want to say that's the best pronunciation I've heard because I say it way worse every time I've tried.
Bro, I had to practice like a dozen times
I appreciate
before
you.
I said it. Yeah,
I
so
just call him Kevin T, like we're buddies.
Kevin T, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So when James Wan came on board, I was like so excited about this. And then you heard things like you're gonna see fights that you haven't seen before, like done very well. You're gonna see fatalities. Now they did deliver on some fatalities, and that's not to say that even though I'm disappointed, there aren't things in this movie that as a Mortal Kombat fan, you're gonna like, if not love. Okay, there are definitely moments. This ensemble cast, I love them together as a whole collectively. I thought that they demonstrated that they understood these characters from their mannerisms to the outfits, the costume department. They did a great job there. The problem was, and I stated this on the Godzilla vs. Kong review, that runtime. It's an hour and 41 minutes without credits, maybe an hour and 42. This movie flies by, okay? The first time it cuts from Earth to Outworld, you're like, whoa, wait, did I miss something? And that happens throughout this movie, and it's just, it's a victim of that mandate that, movies got to be 2 hours or less. You just get straight to the point, and it's just, it sets up a dangerous precedent for Warner Brothers and their blockbusters. So are there things you're going to love in this movie? Yes. Is it disappointing for myself based on what I was told, what I was promised? Yes.
Yeah, sounds good. I agree with you, Gio. Brian, I want a full in-depth, thoughts on this.
This is supposed to be quick, so
did it break your heart, Brian? I'm just kidding.
It's a movie.
I have 5 minutes left.
How did I know that was going to be Brian's response? I thought you were either going to say it's a movie or it's a film.
It's a movie. Let's be honest. Me liking this type of movie was a long shot from the get-go. I'm not a gore type person, so
a gore enthusiast, if you will.
Yeah, so like me walking in there, I was just there to be in the theater to watch a movie and eat snacks. And so I ate snacks and watched a movie. And yeah, I'll say this. As someone that doesn't know anything about Mortal Kombat, like history of it or how it works and all that, I left just as confused as I did walking in. I'll say that.
I think me and you
and then I'll let Jake go.
Yeah, go ahead, Jake.
I agree. I think, and I just finished it about an hour ago for the second time, maybe a little over an hour ago, because I wanted to get another look after sitting on it for a few days, and we're obviously going to talk about like characters and story and stuff, but for me, the biggest issue this film has is from the technical side of it. The editing is atrocious. It is so bad. It randomly cuts, it moves, it just does really stupid things. The dialogue is probably the single worst dialogue I've seen in a very, very long time. So much so that it makes the actors who are really good actors look bad. Like, it makes them look bad. Like, there's actors in this movie who are really good actors, but they look totally terrible because of dialogue. We can, like I said, we can talk. We're going to talk about the not enough story or not enough time for stories or character motivations and stuff like that. But for me, a large part of the issue came down to the technical side of it, and that's kind of why I was frustrated with it so much. But it delivers on action. It delivers on action for sure. But like Brian, I definitely have a lot of questions, more so than I had coming in. So.
I actually agree with you on most of that, Jake. And I think part of the reasons for those things, this is a first-time screenplay writer for a feature film and a first-time director for a feature film.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Go ahead, Jesse. What you're going to say, and then I want your general thought.
I just found out today it's the same screenwriter as Wonder Woman 84.
Is it really?
Yes. But I think, I'm not sure
or
which
one of them. I mean, there was more than one screenwriter.
There was like 3 or 4 people, I think, involved with Wonder Woman 84. But
yeah, I mean, if that's the case, then that's interesting. But I think
unless I was told
when they were working on Mortal Kombat, when they hired these guys, they hadn't done anything. The director, I believe, directed commercials, and the writer hadn't had a huge feature on his resume. But what are your general thoughts, Jesse, before we bust it all open?
Okay. So I said this before. I said this to a couple people. I really enjoyed the 95 film, but you look at when it came out in the 90s, and at that point, I'm not sure if we had 2 or 3 Mortal Kombat games, but they were almost exclusively arcade games. So the bar was kind of like what you would expect for a Super Mario Brothers movie. It wasn't a high bar. There wasn't a lot of lore established yet. And I think they did a really good job of just kind of like good enough. But that was like 25 or so years ago, and the properties evolved, the stories evolved, the characters evolved, the fan base, the lore, just everything is more than it was. It's more respected. It wins Fighting Game of the Year every time it comes out. And people talk about the cutscenes and the stories and like all the things that we get attached to. And so what I wanted is for the beginning of a franchise or for this IP to be respected in the manner that it is now as a game, as a storytelling avenue that way. And it didn't feel like that for me. This felt like a movie that could have come out in the very early 2000s. But I want video games to be taken as seriously as some of these comic book adaptations. Do more. Like, I want this curse to end. I don't want us to be 15 years from now saying that Detective Pikachu and Sonic were the two best video game movies we've ever had. It's frustrating because this is a much richer property than people give it credit for. And the story's there. Like, they made up all these plot devices in this movie to make shortcuts. And I'm like, you don't need the shortcuts. Like, I don't know. I got very frustrated, I guess, is my summarized thoughts.
Yeah.
And I do agree with everything everybody said, positive or negatively. You're all right. I'm not here to tell anyone that you're wrong. It's just like how we feel about
That's
these
okay.
movies.
Yeah.
All the time.
It's funny. Like I agree with all the negatives and I agree with all the positives, but I might like it more just because I'm Mortal Kombat nut. But Keith, let's get your thoughts real quick, and then after that, just full spoiler discussion. Let's do it.
Yes. First of all, thank you. Shout out to Selvin, our guy, if he's watching. My last Twitter follower. Looked at his page. He's a fellow 2019 world champion, World Series champion Nationals fan, and a Virginia boy.
Yes.
He's from Alexandria. So shout out to Selvin. We're all here, our sports fans. I love a good NFL coaching rant. I don't know if you guys remember the great rant from Dennis Green. The Bears are who we thought they were. This movie is what we thought. It's what I thought it was. That's all. They are who we thought they were. No. Yes. I didn't have my expectation. I wanted it to be good. I knew it would be a little bit better than the '95 one, which upon revisit, which I love that movie too. I was right there opening night for that movie, but I know people love it to death. I know it's nostalgia and all that stuff. Gio and I, we talked about it the other night. I don't think it holds up very well, but it's still fun to watch. This one is visually, of course, it's better, but I'm going to slightly disagree. I know Jake and we talked about it after the movie. I don't think the acting is very good at all. For some is better than others, but definitely we agree on dialogue and definitely the editing. But there's enough there to where my interest is still piqued because I love Mortal Kombat. I grew up with it. I will watch more if there's more, but I think this one it's fine. It's not much better or worse than what I expected because I don't know. First of all, Jesse, I'll agree with you, but I'm going to add the last Tomb Raider. I thought that one was actually very good.
I was going to say that too. The Alicia Vikander one's not bad.
Yeah. I'm not going to argue with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I think it's actually good.
Does it not fall under the a little better than fine category?
Yeah. No movie has broken the seal. Yeah. I want to go to Gio real quick because Gio has to head out here in a few minutes. Gio, was there anything that you really wanted to address, positive or negative?
Well, before the movie came out, you guys know this. I was watching every clip, and then I saw the first 7 minutes, and I appreciated how, as far as mythology goes, they really dedicated some time. I mean, compared to others, they dedicated to Bihan and Hanzo Hasashi. I mean, those first 7 minutes are just incredible. I wish the rest of the movie were kind of like that, and that's no surprise. Joe Taslim and Hiroyuki Sanada, they've been doing this for a long time. They know how to deliver, even from a first-time director. So I was really impressed with those two. Cole Young, I don't know if I care about him after this movie. I was kind of hoping he would have became the new Scorpion after his great grandfather was, finally got his revenge. But yeah, I mean, those two, I wouldn't mind seeing more of them. Hell, a prequel about Hiroyuki Sanada's Hanzo Hasashi and Joe Taslim's Bihan. Give me more of the Lin Kuei versus the Shirai Ryu. So yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, Scorpion had been fighting in the tournament like for years before his bloodline was taken out, but except the baby. Like he had the mark, the Mortal Kombat mark, and everything, and that's what I took from the opening scene is that he had been fighting in the tournament and defending the Earth realm, and
so here's part
but
of
they don't actually
here's part of the issue, and this is the one thing. And Gio, if you got to go, man. I know you've been hanging on a little bit, so just head out whenever you need to. But I brought up afterwards. Not the biggest. There was no explanation for anything. Mm-hmm. I felt like they were relying on people who knew the property to understand what was happening. Perfect example is what Jacob just talked about. That never crossed my mind. It never crossed my mind. I don't know how long. Has the tournament been going on since the dawn of time? Did it start during this specific time era? Did it start when he died? What does the mark really mean? What is going on between the two clans? There was explanation, and that happened throughout the entire film. There was no explanation of anything, at all. And it really, it was one of the most frustrating things about the movie, just because, you're watching these characters who are supposed to be, these all-star characters, right? Like Jax, Sonya Blade, Cabal, all these characters that when I talk to Mortal Kombat fans are like, oh my God, yes, this character. But at the same time, it's they didn't give them any real backstory or reason for me to even care about them or to wonder what happened next with them or what their past is. The one thing that I can say is that Cabal had one simple line of saying, Kano put me in this iron mask.
He was my favorite because I heard his story.
And that still to me almost isn't enough in a way. It was just it felt very I felt like they were relying on people who knew the lore and mythology of Mortal Kombat to watch the movie. And that goes to what the editing looked like, because the editing was so dumbed down. They cut down all of this backstory story that you could have given and just relied on things just kind of thrown in your face. And it really frustrated me, from the very beginning. It was cool seeing Scorpion and Sub-Zero fight, but why are they fighting? Or, what is the rivalry there? How long has it been going on? How did Sub-Zero get his powers? Is he super strong? Does he just have ice powers? Does all of that, why did Scorpion...
Why do they hate...
The explanation... Okay, so, the explanation of powers, to me, which that was a thing that was a decision that I did not like, because just in the game they just have powers. I don't recall.
Yeah, so the Arcana, how they get their Arcana,
which is bizarre. That's because I'm just.
Well, that's I was okay with the Arcana part of it, but my question was okay, the very beginning of the movie. So did Sub-Zero? Was he born with this, or did he get his Arcana?
I agree with you, Jake. They don't even. There should have been some lines of dialogue that helped explain it, but I think if you watch the scene, the way the actor plays it, I think he got his Arcana right in that moment when the frost starts coming on his hand. If you watch the scene, he's like, yes, I finally got it. But they don't say anything. Right.
Well, it was cold already. They as he walked in the room, they're like, oh, how can it be so cold?
Yeah, but it looks like he was shocked, and it looked very random. He wasn't using it expertly. He was just building a random spike in his hand. So he got his Arcana in that moment.
But where is the explanation?
Yeah, they don't. And I will say about the explanation part is that there's a lot of movies, whether they're comic book movies or anything like that, that kind of do the same thing too. They introduce a character, and then people who read comic books or watch the cartoons know, but then the general fans don't. But then they get to know those characters. But I agree with you. Like, there's so much thrown at you in this movie, and it's kind of like I do agree with you that they made it seem like you had to have some knowledge prior to coming into watching.
Well, and another big point, and I want to let everybody talk. I want everybody's thoughts on this. But another big thing I can bring up is apparently Sub-Zero can live for like hundreds of years. Like, is he timeless now?
There's a theory, or I have a theory, but again, it's not explained.
That's like he shows up and he's this character 600 years later or whatever. And
if you win Mortal Kombat, whether it be for Shang Tsung or Shao Kahn, then
you gain immortality.
You get to live at least until the next Mortal Kombat tournament. You're granted temporary immortality,
and they're like hundreds of years apart too, right? The tournaments.
We'll get into it, I'm sure. Goro should be the champion, but they are unclear about it. And this movie treats Sub-Zero like Sub-Zero is Shang Tsung's champion, and that's why he's been alive this whole time. Because they make Sub-Zero like the lead villain in Shang Tsung's squad, which I'm like, that's definitely a deviation from the source material.
It's supposed to be Goro.
Yeah, which
I made the comparison.
I can't wait.
Well, they can adapt stuff and change that though.
They can change it. Yes, of course. But again, at least like I made when Gio and we talked about it on his channel the other night. You know, like Goro's Darth Vader and Shang Tsung is the Emperor, right? And the whole thing is that.
But the Emperor should be the actual Emperor, Shao Kahn, Emperor of Outworld.
That's true. That's true too. But you're absolutely right because that's why I say that.
Now you're just losing me.
There's the Emperor. I'm more confused now.
There's the Emperor, and then there's the Emperor. But in terms of when it starts off, it's kind of like.
So the dude who sucks souls isn't the big bad?
He is
he's a sorcerer that works for the Emperor of Outworld, and he kind of helps champion the Outworld's competitors for the Mortal Kombat tournament. But this movie treated him like he was that guy.
Right. So he's like the Mortal Kombat commissioner.
But yes. The reason I made the Vader Emperor comparison is because Shang Tsung kind of just sits in his chair and Goro kills everyone. He wins every tournament every year. And the whole thing is if you manage to get by Goro, you got to face Shang Tsung. But no one ever gets by Goro, ever. And that's the whole point. And in this movie, we'll get to Goro later because that's the only thing that really annoyed me.
Above Shang Tsung?
Shao Kahn.
Another guy named Shao Kahn. They had a statue of him in the movie.
There's two Shao Kahns?
They had a statue and a monument.
Wait, the statue wasn't Goro?
Yeah.
No, there's a Goro statue too, but there's also a Shao Kahn statue.
The guy with the big hammer and the big helmet, that was Shao Kahn.
Okay.
So there's always, like in most mythologies, there's always a bigger bad guy. I don't think it's anything to like laugh at because the thing is let's look at it like if you could kind of look at it like this in a way. Like Shang Tsung is like Loki in the first Avengers and Shao Kahn is Thanos. I mean, it's not a direct thing.
That's good.
But if you look at it that way, like Shang Tsung is the first big villain they have to face and defeat.
Shang is the hand of Shao Kahn.
Once they defeat him, then all the story moves on to facing Shao Kahn.
So you guys were saying that Goro is supposed to be this big dude or whatever, and that there's obviously things that can happen. So from what it sounds like is that Sub-Zero's been competing in the tournaments, but Goro hasn't?
That's kind of what it sounds.
That's what the movie made it seem like. But Goro. So all right. So Kung Lao.
First of all, and most of all, why is there no tournament?
I know, and we'll talk about that. But you know Kung Lao, the guy with the hat who dies, right?
I feel my spirit leaving.
My favorite guy.
I know.
That was my biggest thing. I was pissed, and I was pissed that guy died.
Honestly, he might have been the best actor in this movie.
That's what I'm saying.
Performance-wise,
he was the best fit.
Him and Liu Kang. I think Liu Kang was.
Wait, Kung Lao's a big time character.
Yeah, well, he's the descendant of. So there's. He says it in the movie. I'm the descendant of.
We gotta slow down. We gotta slow down. Yes, we gotta talk about that, but we need to do it slow for these guys.
Absolutely, yeah. But because we were talking about Goro, so the reason Goro's champion is because he beat the great Kung Lao, hundreds of years ago, and ever since then they've won 9 tournaments in a row or whatever. So that's supposed to be what happened.
The 9 tournaments thing is like actual lore. Like that's real.
That part is accurate. That's one of the few.
But originally it's every 10 years though, right? Wasn't it always every tournament?
Every generation. Every generation, which is a vague measurement of time, but that could be like 70.
I'd always heard every 10 years.
Well, that would only be that.
Is that in the video game?
What the every
I thought so.
generation?
Every 10 years.
I thought it was. That's what I thought. That's what I always heard. I don't know.
Because they talk about being granted immortality if you win. Why would you need
Yeah.
immortality if it's 10 years?
Yeah. So when they introduce Goro, they don't actually introduce him until he walks out of the shed. But when he
And they
walks
just say,
through the
like, Prince
doors
Goro.
and Shang Tsung greets him, he's like, finally, I forget what the name of his species or kingdom
Shokan.
is. So he says, fine, it's an honor to have the blank blank on our side.
Well, he says
So
the prince. He says the
Yeah, he says
prince.
Yeah,
Prince
Prince
Goro
Goro.
of the Shokan.
It's an honor to have the Shokan finally on our side.
Yeah.
So it seems like he just joined their side in this movie. That's what they made it seem like.
Then died by an MMA fighter.
Oh, I mean, I didn't know you guys felt the same way, but that is the number one thing
That
that
was
pissed
awful.
me off is the cameo by Goro, and it was just to lose. There's no way he would lose that.
It
fight.
was less offensive when Johnny Cage punched him in the balls and he fell off a cliff. 'Cause
I'm
at
cool
least
with
it's
that.
Johnny
Fell off a
Cage.
sidewalk.
When did that
Yeah.
happen?
in the first Mortal Kombat movie.
In the 95
95.
movie. Yeah.
So I looked it up. Rules of Mortal Kombat. Number 1 is every generation, competing realms would send their fighter. Blah blah blah. So whatever generation means.
Jesse.
Well, and also like, there's so many different things that come in the mythology. Every game, every game kind of like resets the timeline almost.
Yes. Yeah.
So the mythology keeps changing. Also,
I think your knowledge of Mortal Kombat is definitely a little bit like age thing sometimes because it's like there's so many different entry points for the franchise.
exactly.
Like for me, the first one I ever played was 9, and then I went backwards and played like Armageddon. But then there's a lot of people that started playing with the arcade games. That's like a different set of lore a little bit. And then like
And that was me.
content,
That was me.
so.
I was right there at the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah, so like I totally get. I'm not. If you say something, if we say like different things, it's totally just from like maybe we focused on different games because it's not necessarily
Yeah.
consistent. Some things are consistent, but there's a lot of things that are kind of ever
Absolutely.
changing.
Okay, so I just
Because-
did the math, which is sketch as it is, but collectively, this would be a tournament would happen about every 30 years, according to the movie's timeline,
That works.
because it's. I mean, you go 30 times 9, 360. It is about that. Added would be about where they were in the movie.
Right.
Listen, Brian, my head's hurting enough from this movie. That whole like
This is the only part I can contribute to because I just saw it, so I'm done from this part out.
Hey, listen.
we
I
can
wanna-
take
I
Brian
wanna-
out now.
I want to throw in a wrench here too, Jake. Your head's gonna spin. There's a Sub-Zero spin-off game that came
Mythologies.
out. I think, yes, Mortal Kombat Mythology, and in that game they discovered that Scorpion, or he did not kill Scorpion's family. It was what's the guy's name?
Quan Chi.
Oh my gosh, Quan Chi.
Quan Chi.
Yeah.
And they have reestablished that storyline like 4 separate times. We're like, this is how it happened. This is how it
Oh
happened.
wow.
And so to watch this movie, I'm like, where the F is Quan Chi? Because
That's what I was
Mihan didn't do
expecting.
it.
Right.
Sorry.
Okay,
Sorry.
But anyway, sorry. Never mind. Forget that.
Who's
Forget
Quan
that. I just wanted
Chi?
to say.
Can I
No,
get
don't
the
worry about it.
spark
No, don't
notes?
worry about
Can I please do the spark
But
notes?
go ahead.
I'll super simplify it. Okay. Just, Shang Tsung's a
Shino.
sorcerer.
Okay.
Okay. There's another sorcerer from the Nether Realm, which they briefly mentioned in
Okay.
here. He disguised himself as Bihan, Sub-Zero, yes,
Okay.
and then murdered Scorpion's entire family and clan as Sub-Zero.
Okay.
And then he brought Scorpion back to life from the Nether Realm, so it became like a spirit of vengeance, Ghost Rider-esque, and then said, I need you to represent Nether Realm for me, and then you can get your revenge on Sub-Zero. So you kind of see how he kind of like pulled the strings and
Manipulation.
put him under like a false path of vengeance.
Yeah.
That is a core element to Scorpion since Sub-Zero mythologies, since like MK4 from then on. So for like multiple decades, this has been the story of Scorpion and Sub-Zero, and they just skipped over it. They changed it.
Yeah.
Well, what if they just go
So,
tricked ya?
Well, it
You
doesn't
guys-
work because
They
Bihan
might
has
do
like a hard-on for killing the Hasashi bloodline.
Oh.
You guys got the different realm stuff, right?
Yeah. There's
that's
multiple
important.
realms. I got that one 4-2 happened and stuff, but I wanted to talk about Scorpion for a little bit because obviously we see that he dies and he has these abilities, and I don't know if his power happened when he died or whatever, but so he was essentially
he channels the like hellfire of the nether realm.
So that's what I wanted to ask is when he so first of all, he died, he went to hell, and that's where he was for generations. But 2, why did that happen?
Because he wanted revenge.
Again,
But because he wanted revenge, that's where he went.
Because Quan Chi basically claimed his soul when he died, and he brought him to the nether realm.
Okay.
And then and so like there's this huge NetherRealm Quan Chi storyline that's just completely missing.
And then, so how does he come out of hell?
Because apparently his descendant touched his spear tip.
Yeah, the dagger.
Right.
Remember?
That's all that unlocked him.
That's it. He's been in hell for 400 years, but
Yeah, he keeps telling him to let me
originally-
free.
Originally, he's just like a demon monster from hell, and basically all that stuff counts. But he's just a demon. He's got fire powers, and he's got that.
Okay, so that's
that
real. Then so
harpoon thing.
he's not like a physical being who's like out in the world. He's actually like a demon monster, Scorpion.
kind of
Yeah, but
isn't
he
one of his
can go
lines
be
like,
physically in the world.
Isn't one of his game lines where he's
Yeah.
like, "I'm gonna drag you to hell," and then like take them down?
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
I
I've
mean,
seen
Actually, yeah, I believe so.
he says
Yeah.
like to hell with you and grabs.
Just get
Actually,
down
I know
here or something.
I know exactly what this is. It's in Mortal Kombat 9, which was kind of a reboot of the franchise. When he's fighting Sub-Zero, he grabs Sub-Zero and says, "To hell with you," and then they go to NetherRealm and fight in the NetherRealm.
So I back to the to like the movie aspect of this. I know a lot of people
What?
probably disagree with me.
Sorry.
I will say that I actually really liked what they did with Cole Young. Personally, I know that this is in the complete minority. I know that I'm in the complete minority, but again, I'm coming from someone who knows absolutely nothing about Mortal Kombat.
That's fair.
That's
Sure.
fair.
Look, I thought, and again, I don't know the history. I don't know like the story tie-ins of everything, but I thought it was like a cool thing, like the descendant of this character who his bloodline had died, and he's the last of the bloodline, and he has to kind of restore the bloodline, and he does. And I don't know if it's because I have a soft spot for Louis Tan. I think he's a really good actor who has a very strong future in action and stuff like that. But and again, I know I'm in a very. Go ahead.
I was saying, do you know about the Cole mandate that it was Warner Brothers telling the writers before they started
Warner Brothers
writing the
did that.
story that you have to have this Cole character so that we can have a surrogate into the Mortal Kombat universe? And I was like, you have had a surrogate for the Mortal Kombat universe in every game or adaptation this entire existence of this franchise, and now you can create a new character. Yeah,
I didn't know that. I didn't know that at all.
No.
I didn't know.
Liu Kang or Johnny Cage, both of those.
And you could do it with
characters
any
like-
character.
Yeah.
You could do it with Sonya Blade. Yeah.
or Jax.
Sonya,
like
yeah.
any of these
Yeah.
existing characters could have been that surrogate, but they shoehorned this character that fits in like, I don't know, fill in the
I thought it
gap.
was cool.
No, Jake,
Yeah,
I,
so they could have
I
just
didn't mind
knocked
him. I didn't mind him, but there are some aspects of the character that bothered me.
I
Jesse-
could understand coming from your guys' end
Yeah.
because there's literally an endless list of characters you can.
Yeah,
play.
exactly.
I get it.
The problem is
I mean-
they're in the movie, so it's like
Well, and
it's not
it's
like
funny.
they wanted to ignore them.
That night I went back. I came back home after we watched the movie, and I googled. I said the 15 best or the 10 best of the 15 best Mortal Kombat characters, and I kind of did a little research, and I saw the list, the immense list of characters that the games have that you
Daunting.
can pull from.
Yeah.
And everyone was different. Obviously, every site does it differently, but I can see why Mortal Kombat fans would be frustrated because it takes away from the story of Scorpion, but it also takes away from the story of someone like a Jax or a Liu Kang
You
or
could
a
argue
Sonya Blade.
that Kano was an effective surrogate into this movie, and that
That's
Cole
true.
didn't have a use in the film.
That's true.
If Cole would have turned into Scorpion, which is what I was kind of expecting,
That's what I thought was
then
going to happen.
I could kind of rock with it, but I don't even know what is. He just had the Black Panther absorbing kinetic
Yeah,
powers.
you
I don't know.
think-
I don't even.
Do you
That was-
think do you think without explaining it, he did become kind of a version of Scorpion though?
They never
No.
hinted at it or anything.
They
He
gave him plot armor, literally.
He got his
Right.
own. He
And
became
he's got
his
some
own
bad. Yeah, he's got
character.
some badass knife things. That's all.
They're called tonfas.
Yeah.
Oh,
Where you know?
Jake,
Come on down.
speaking of Scorpion, the actor, you just saw him, and he's the captain in the movie Sunshine. He's the captain of the ship.
He is. You are
He's
correct.
also in the Wolverine
Yeah.
and Endgame.
Yeah, he dies by Hawkeye. Hawkeye kills him.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's so many things that that we could talk
Wrong.
about with this movie. Jesse, do you have
what's
something
next?
you want to bring up?
Let's keep firing.
Oh my gosh. Oh. This is one of those things like we talk about like repeat viewings and stuff, or like feeling like you have to process. I feel like this movie is very detrimentally affected by processing it. Because the first time I saw it, I was like, I wanted more from that, but okay. I saw it again, I was like, I actively think I hate this movie. But at the same time, it sounds contradictory, but I want a sequel. But it's because we went 24 years without a Mortal Kombat movie. So like I'm here like picking up these little breadcrumbs, like, ooh, this tastes like crap, but I'm starving. You know.
Hey, that's a great analogy, actually.
Because like that's what it was like. The web series, the Machinima web series, the Mortal Kombat Legacy
That was cool.
It was cool. It wasn't the greatest, but you're like live action Mortal Kombat.
It was something.
Exactly. And then like I watched the animated movie that just came out, Scorpion's Revenge, which again, actually, you know what? Can I give you guys an assignment? You guys like the movie assignments?
Sure.
That movie is probably an hour and 20 minutes long, maybe. I don't. It might be on HBO Max, but that tells it's a Mortal Kombat tournament movie focusing on the story of Scorpion, and it very much tells the Quan Chi tie-in and like some of the Sub-Zero stuff. It gets you. It's it's kind of like just a
Chinook,
short version.
Chinook in there.
Shinnok. I don't think so. I don't think they get to that point yet.
Oh, really?
I just want to see. Honestly, I came to this movie because I wanted to see some badass fighting in a tournament, and I got the badass fighting, but I got no tournament. How do we all feel about that?
I think having a setup is okay, but then why take out Kung Lao, Melina, Cabal, and like some of the favorite? Again, Melina without.
She didn't do a whole lot.
Okay,
Yeah,
Melina. There's two characters. Melina is like it's a trio with characters. You can't have Melina without Baraka and Katana because Melina is a clone.
Wait, were they in this movie?
No.
Okay.
That's the problem. Is like
There were references to them, but did you guys see her fan blade in the background? Katana.
Oh,
blue
Katana.
It was in Raiden's temple in the background, like held up like a trophy or something. I don't.
Oh wow.
Is she dead?
Is she a good guy?
Katana.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She starts out working
Katana
for Shao Kahn. But then
Brian,
she
you and
joins
I
up.
are just like.
Well, she's a.
I thought they were all bad guys.
I think she's from the outer world, right? Isn't she?
She's from
Yeah.
Edenia, and Edenia
Okay.
gets absorbed by Outworld when they
So she's
invade
with
it.
the bad guys, and then she switches sides, and she
She's
so
like
she is
how
good.
she's like Gamora. She's like how Gamora switched and
Exactly.
I love these
perfect.
Marvel comparisons because
I mean, it's a good way to help explain.
It helps me.
Yeah. But there's
so-
so many things. Well, the tournament. All right. So I was looking into this. The director said they didn't want to remake the first movie. With the first
Right.
movie has the tournament and everything like that. He said we didn't want to just do a reboot or just copy that film. We wanted to do something different. And I'm like, and he explained it. He said when you do a tournament movie, it has a formula. Like you have to follow. Oh, there's the setup. Like in each match, somebody has to die, right? For the most part. So it was like he didn't want to follow that formula, which I understand that, but that's Mortal Kombat. Like that's
what
literally
it is. Yeah, exactly.
that's the
Well, the thing
name
is,
of it.
you took
It
out
should just be called Fighting Tournament. Like that's the name of the
you took out
franchise.
Natara, Raiko, Reptile, Kung Lao, and Cabal, and Kano. You got 6 characters that you took out. So what was the point of avoiding the tournament format?
Yeah, I know. And what actually really bothers me, and I know this is part of Mortal Kombat lore, but is resurrections, right? That's been a part of it since the beginning. But it's like, okay, you have a fight with Goro, and you have Cole Young, or he's a badass. He killed Goro, right? Cool, good for him. And then but death is just another form, or whatever Shang Tsung says. They're just going to bring Goro back. They're just going to bring Goro back in the second one if they make one.
So wait, can my
There's a lady
hat guy
girl.
come back?
Maybe.
No.
Well, his soul got sucked. So
Yeah,
no.
Yeah,
And
probably
I'm
not. But
honestly,
Wait, so-
he was my favorite character in this movie, him and Sonya Blade, and I'm pissed that he died.
Real quick,
I was
who are the characters that he is like resurrecting? Goro and who else?
So he
Bihan
took
will
Sub-Zero,
be-
Bihan, and Goro. He
So
only
he
took
those
their
two.
bodies.
He just took those two.
And
Yeah.
the interesting thing is that, and they allude to it even before he dies, but Bihan gets resurrected as Noob Saibot, if you've ever heard the name.
I read up on that, and he's got a
Yeah.
younger brother who becomes Sub-Zero.
Which is
Mhm.
one of my top 3 favorite characters.
Hey,
Kwai
I know
Good
Mortal
job.
Kombat.
the new
Kwai
Sub-Zero.
Liang is the second Sub-Zero. He's the younger Sub-Zero, and he is essentially a good guy. He joins the
and
Earthbombers.
he doesn't wear the mask and
mask.
stuff because he
Not
did he
always.
leave the clan?
He actually ends up becoming the Grand Master of the clan, but that's like a whole nother.
Okay.
We could go on and on. But he's a great
Yeah.
character.
Yeah.
So
But
is that what's going to happen next?
probably. But
Maybe.
Bihan, if you notice when he took off his armor and stuff, remember when they were fighting?
Yeah.
His armor underneath is almost black. It's like dark. And if you look up Noob Saibot, he very much already looks like Noob Saibot before he dies, and then he gets crisped by Scorpion, which is kind of cool. Which, can we talk about how many times Scorpion just like mask off, mask on, mask off,
Yeah.
mask on?
a ton of times. But I could see
At
how
least-
that like some of the deaths would look ridiculous if you didn't know the Mortal Kombat moves. Like Scorpion, that's like his main fatality.
Take the
when he-
mask off it.
Yeah.
That's all I was
Um,
waiting for.
But we probably
story.
got go ahead.
They couldn't. So originally, normally he rips his whole face off, right? And I
Oh,
guess
yeah.
Yeah.
China has something about showing like full skulls in like some of their movies and stuff. So they actually had
Oh,
to
wow.
like downplay it. So it's just like a little half-face fire skull thing
Yeah,
instead of like the demon face Ghost Rider.
full skeleton head. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Anyways,
Jacob.
I'm here for the useless knowledge. Just you're welcome.
Well, I just want
Honestly, I'm super like intrigued by learning about all this. I really
This
am.
is making me more and more wish it was an HBO Max series.
Yeah, it's
I
like
agree.
it's really
Ryan, I've been saying that, buddy. Like I've been
Yeah,
saying
me
it
too.
for a week for like.
see the
Uh,
tournament
before it came
stuff is perfect for a series. It's
just
Yeah,
just
exactly.
to answer this real quick, Chuck. I don't believe it's a Kano. I don't believe.
I think
No,
he
I-
should have, because then you can bring him back with the cybernetic eye and do it properly. But they didn't go
Yeah.
out.
Do you think there's a chance that there could be more that he took without actually seeing them on screen?
Yeah, because Josh Lawson is like the most bankable part of that movie now.
He's the dude, and
He's-
I
he's a
heard
big,
that. And I don't know if this is right, but I read this online, and this could always be wrong. But do Kano and Johnny Cage have a thing where they fight each other?
I mean, yeah. I mean, so
almost
Johnny
every
Cage-
character fights each other.
Sonya has the main thing
Yeah.
with Kano, but Johnny
Okay.
Cage has a thing with
Yeah.
Sonya, and then in turn with Kano. So
Got it.
Right.
Got it.
because they end up doing a little, and they have a couple.
Yeah, I heard that Johnny and Sonya's daughter is like the biggest badass on the planet.
I mean, she takes out Shinnok, so yeah. Spoiler alert. Who is
Oh
an
wow,
elder.
really? Oh, I didn't know that.
I read it again. I read it up. She was like ranked like number 4 on Mortal Kombat
Hey,
list.
I haven't played Mortal Kombat 11 yet. I'm so
Me either.
excited to play it now. I'm just like
Yeah,
in the
right.
Oh,
Mortal Kombat mood.
I don't know if it's on sale yet, but there's the Aftermath DLC, which it's good, but it's not worth $40.
Oh
Anyways,
yeah,
movie.
I know what you mean. So
Talk to the movie.
well, all right. So I mean, anybody, but Jesse and Keith specifically. Like, is there anything else you guys wanted to touch on before we wrap this up here
Oh my gosh,
in about 5 minutes or
Wrap it
so?
up
Because we're gonna jump into Falcon and Winter Soldier as well.
that's fair. I'm just trying to think because there's so many thoughts I could have about any given thing.
Okay, so for me, I want to
I
talk
like
about
the-
Liu Kang. Liu Kang. I felt underwhelmed by Liu Kang.
Jacob, I
asked
love
him
that
about-
you said. You guys have anything?
Well,
Okay, so
it
let's
seemed
talk
like
about
they were gonna think about it real quick. I just want to touch on Liu Kang really
I
quick.
need direction, so I appreciate Jacob.
I like Ludi Lin a lot. You guys know he was in Power Rangers. I thought he's really good in Power Rangers. I was so excited for him in this. And like for a
They just
character,
don't do anything.
well, the writers, first of all, the writers are the ones who had Liu Kang take a back seat. That's not Ludi Lin's fault.
No.
But then I didn't buy Ludi Lin as Liu Kang. Did you guys feel the same way?
Nope.
I do not feel the same way. I thought he was
Yeah, I like
perfectly
him.
cast. They just gave him some bad lines that couldn't be delivered.
Maybe
well.
that's it. I still like him. Like I'm like, I want a sequel. I want Ludi Lin playing Liu Kang, and I'm cool with that. But it just I don't know. It didn't feel the same.
The
I
way
guess
that-
because he wasn't the main character, maybe.
I like that they made him very monk-like because Liu Kang is a monk.
Yeah.
But then sometimes it was him like going like, "Okay, come," and he was like too soft. And I was like, Liu Kang's not that soft. Like they made him a little too passive.
Maybe this movie has disappointed so many people because the entire thing is just a setup for what is actually going to be the real Mortal Kombat in the sequel.
If they make
Sure.
it now, because this one was such poo-poo.
I was upset because the lore was ignored. Okay, we want to talk about things that really bothered us. I'll give you mine. Everything Outworld. Because Brian talks about he was more confused walking out of this movie. Tell me something about Outworld that isn't a desert with mountains.
It looked like the place that Thor Malekith fought on in Thor 2.
Right.
Outworld is the bad guy house, right? Or
House.
like
Realm.
realm, sorry.
You got anything
Planet,
else?
world, whatever it's
Planet.
called, universe.
Yeah,
It's basically
no,
a dimension.
It's just so
Yeah.
Outworld is rich.
Well,
with
and it
lore
looks like Outworld just looks like a
mythology.
throne to me. It just
All,
looks
all
like
they
a-
are, they're on that
interesting.
one cliff the whole time. That's
Because
it.
that's all the show was that one exactly.
All right.
And
And
it's
this
interesting
movie
because-
struggles from small budget.
Do you feel like we were missing something? The first time we see Shang Tsung, he's walking with Melina in the desert with some of his followers, and his face is just dirty. It looks like he's been through hell. And then never again does he look dirty. And I'm like, what was going on?
I think Outworld is a cover operation for a real mining planet. I think that's what's happening.
Possibly.
It might be.
I thought, and sometimes they did good with the budget, but Outworld had more personality in the '95 movie. Like aesthetically, when you went to Outworld, you're like, I am in a death.
I think I'm going to watch
realm.
the 95 Mortal Kombat tonight. I think that's what I'm going to do.
There you
Yeah,
go.
they like walk through the outer world.
Jake, you know what would be
Yes.
great? Actually, Jake and Brian, if like me and you could just sometime in the near future have a Zoom call, and I can be like, all right, guys, welcome to class.
God.
Let's go. Like, I want to let me slow it down and let me explain to you the history of Mortal Kombat.
I'm game.
Why not?
I like the my disappointment was mostly with Shang Tsung because he's a fascinating character. I really liked Raiden. The Outworld thing is interesting to me because
Wait, is Raiden the lightning god?
Thunder God.
Yes.
Thunder God.
Oh,
God
he
of Thunder.
sucked.
They nailed
No.
Raiden's incompetence
Raiden.
because Raiden's been consistently incompetent in the games.
Well, maybe in the newer ones, I guess. Like I said, I stopped at Mortal Kombat 4, and I really didn't play anything until the characters that show up in Injustice. So I don't know. But Raiden was always one of my favorite characters.
Whoa. These guys are an Injustice game?
Yeah, Jake, they
Injustice
showed
2
up.
has
Yeah.
Sub-Zero, and it's because NetherRealm makes all these games.
Well, and then DC versus Mortal Kombat was the next.
Jake, they were like a very, 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 very late DLC into
Well,
Injustice.
the very first Injustice had Scorpion DLC, and the second one had Sub-Zero and Raiden.
Was that
And-
before like Mortal Kombat versus Justice League? Or
So they had Mortal Kombat versus
DC versus Mortal Kombat.
oh, is that what
Yeah.
it was? DC versus Mortal Kombat, yeah.
DC
There's a
versus-
game.
Yeah, it's essentially Mortal Kombat 8, but it has no canonical significance.
And it's
but-
rated teen.
Yes, and it's rated teen. That was the
Yeah,
last game
yes.
released by Midway, and then Warner Brothers bought up Midway, the whole Mortal Kombat franchise and everything, and then they came out with Mortal Kombat 9, and then Injustice, and then Mortal Kombat 10, and then Injustice 2, and then Mortal Kombat 11. And they're just alternating every release from the studios.
Yeah.
And that's why the games feel similar, and there's some crossover with characters. Yeah, anyways.
Okay. Sorry,
Yes.
Keith. I didn't mean to.
But
I was
No,
just
it's fine.
mind blown. So
Sorry, Keith.
No, yeah.
Apologies.
But yeah, because in the games and even in the 95 film, Raiden can't go to Outworld because of his place. Is Raiden an elder god? He's an elder god, right?
He's not an elder god, but he's supposed to be
he's
like
a god.
the tier under. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So he basically demotes himself. They let him keep his powers, but he loses his status as a god and his immortality, so he can fight in tournament. And in this, Shang Tsung, who's a shapeshifter who doesn't shapeshift at all in this movie, Raiden's like, "You're cheating. Stop." Shang Tsung's like,
Right?
"No."
That's what was pissing me off the most.
Shang Tsung's like, "No," and then Raiden's just like, "Okay,
Okay.
well, You can't come in here, and then makes the force field, and that's it.
It felt
He
like
doesn't stop
middle
Unlocking
school
my
kids.
door, Mom. Stay out.
Yeah.
It felt like middle school kids meeting in the locker hallway, like, we're gonna fight later. Like, we'll
And he
see you
doesn't
later.
Go, like, go tell the elder
gotta-
gods what Shang Tsung is doing.
Exactly.
Stop it.
No snitch.
There's a line from
Yes.
Shang Tsung where he's like, "Oh, the elder gods are lazy." I'm like, "Okay, yeah, that's actually kind of true, but that's lazy writing to just use that as your excuse
Yes.
for why you're doing things."
Yeah, right.
Raiden, we see that Raiden has the ability to teleport people anywhere, like on the planet, right? But he waits until like once Kung Lao is dead, he's like, "Oh, let's go to the void. We can just hang out in the
Right.
void." I'm like,
Right.
Well,
And then at the
Raiden
end-
wasn't there when during that whole fight, and then he shows up at the end. Where the hell was he?
exactly. And then
Where the
he can
hell was
see.
Raiden?
He can
at
see
the end
everything.
of the movie, Shang Tsung is threatening. He's like, "I'm bringing an army," and Raiden just zaps him back to Outworld. And I was like, "Are you kidding me? You just go."
Couldn't do that before. Couldn't do that
Yeah.
before.
He's like, "Oh," and
Yeah.
then Cole's like, "I thought you couldn't get evolved." He's like, "Oh yeah, well he talks too much." I was like, "So killing."
Yeah. Like, are you kidding me?
Like
Yeah,
he couldn't
that was
stop
bad.
him from
Yeah.
killing Kung Lao, and then that's not
Kung
even
Lao.
part of the tournament. Like Shang Tsung attacking Kung Lao and sucking his soul is not part of. Would
Not
that be
supposed to be doing
interfering?
Dude,
Yes.
Not
Kung
interfering.
Lao
That's why I
was
watched
like
the movie, what are
getting
you doing?
Kung Lao was getting
me and Jimmy
nerfed,
Freckles are
everyone's
about to throw down.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Well, real quick,
Hold on,
speaking
buddy.
of Jimmy Freckles, to put him in your good graces, Jesse. He did do a gracious super chat. What a do.
Hi,
Have a
Jim.
good evening, gents. And
Hi,
then,
Jimmy.
yes, he does say, we have to remember this came from a corny video game.
Mm.
Okay,
It's
Listen,
so
but
here's
Straight up.
There's so
Here's
much
my-
more to the video
it's a-
games than the
Hey,
fighting.
okay. He steps in. I appreciate the back and forth. Don't get
Honestly-
me wrong. There you go.
No, listen, Jimmy. Here's the thing. Mortal Kombat. And I remember this. I was a teenager when it came out. I remember Mortal Monday. It was the game that came out and all that stuff. It was a big deal just because it had the blood. You punch somebody, blood comes out of them. Street Fighter was always the better game. It was always the bigger at the time. I don't know. I know it's kind of changed over time, but Street Fighter was always Capcom. I think makes better fighting games.
And we're talking like arcade, right?
Listen, I'm a Mortal Kombat guy. I preferred Mortal Kombat, but Street Fighter as a fighting game was, in my opinion, I think it was better. And I never owned a Street Fighter game. I always owned Mortal Kombat. But people love Street Fighter as a fighting game. It was better. So that's what Mortal Kombat has become better. But
my biggest thing was the fact that Kung Lao's getting effed up, and everyone's like, "No, just chill, just watch. Like, we got this. It's fine."
I just got to throw out there that for the last 10 years, every time Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter have come out in the same year, game-wise, Mortal Kombat gets Fighting Game of the Year.
I said,
Well, doesn't it?
yes,
Well, it's
in the
more
last-
violent.
In the last 10 years, yes. But the first 10 years before that, it was always Street Fighter. There you go. Street Fighter
He's
was
talking about the
always bigger.
arcade, the original arcade games, man.
So we only have about
Yeah.
15, 20 minutes left in the show. So let's final thoughts on Mortal Kombat. Then we'll move on to some Falcon Winter Soldier for about 15 or 20 minutes.
Do better. That's it.
Fair. I will second that.
My whole thing was,
Yeah.
coming out of that, I just wished this would have been an HBO
Yes.
not a mini series, a HBO show.
And
Because
then they could
It's a
take
sequel
time
series.
to tell
Like,
it.
go from here.
like,
Yeah.
can you imagine like a 10 episode, hour long show?
Yes.
You could
I
tell
absolutely
so much, and explain, and you could end season 1 by starting the tournament, and then you
It
got
has
people
to
hooked.
be the tournament.
Yeah, and so that it's funny because I don't know how Jake is, but like I'm like right on the cusp of like caring. Like I kind of want to know more. I'm interested in it because it just sounds like it's pretty cool.
That is what this was trying to do. Mortal Kombat Legacy, it was like 8 episodes, and each episode set up a
Mhm.
character. And they were only 10 minutes long, but they still managed to like do it. So by the time you got to like the second season, which was kind of like the tournament, you had these characters set up. And just those 8 to 10 minute episodes put in my head that Mortal Kombat should be a series, not a movie.
Yeah, it's just I was just sitting there just going like, it seems like it could be cool. Like I could totally like. I love a good like lore and finding out worlds and diving into that whole stuff, but like the movie kind of like sours it a little bit for me.
Yeah.
You know what's funny too to add to that, Brian, and I'll say it very quickly, but a lot of the actors and actresses in this movie they have TV experience.
True.
Louis Tan, he's been on multiple television shows. McCod Brooks, I believe his name is. He was on Supergirl for like 4 seasons.
Yep.
It's like there's a lot of TV actors. Josh Lawson, TV actor. There's a lot of TV actors in the movie, and they would have easily done it for the same exact thing if it was a TV series. So I will second that.
Agree.
Yeah, it's annoying.
Yeah, I'm obviously a little heartbroken and disappointed, but I want them to do something with the franchise, and I hope it'd be easier to just build something off of this than start over again. Because starting over again probably won't happen for another 10 years, maybe. Who knows?
And I mean, the game's hot right now. You got to strike while the iron's hot.
I'm with you. Make a series based on this movie. Just go right into it. HBO Max. There we go.
Ignore the Arcana and the birthmark stuff as much as you possibly can, but otherwise, like with these actors and stuff, move forward.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Chuck, are you referring to X-Men versus Street Fighter or Marvel versus Capcom? Either way, I'm with you because both those games are.
I will say this one last thing before we go into Marvel, which is kind of a good segue. Also, Jake, I cannot stop imagining Sub-Zero, that actor, being Namor now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Go back to our casting table. Go back. He was my number one choice.
Good call.
Oh, really?
He was my number one choice, and Louis Tan was my second choice. So both of them are in this movie.
Crazy.
Boom, 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 boom.
Either of them.
Last thing, no transition. Sonata Hanzo Hisashi speaks Japanese the entire movie until he says, "Get over here."
Yes.
Baloney. Wow.
Yeah, right.
In Mortal Kombat Legacy, they have him speaking Japanese for 2 full episodes, and he says, "Get over here" in Japanese, and it works, and it's fine, and it was cool.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's it. That's all I got.
Yeah.
But Jake.
I thought that was funny too. Like, why is that one line in English?
Yeah, but Jake, like literally, like now I
told you
kind of
guys.
don't want anyone else to play him. Kind of.
I told you guys he's the next big thing, man. He's the next big thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
All right, Jacob, let's come on.
Yeah, well, that was like crazy, like all over the place, like mostly negatives. But
history lessons.
I'm gonna watch this a few more times and maybe come back and talk about it somewhere again because I have to process this movie a little bit more. But we're gonna move on to. Yeah, we're going to move on to Falcon and Winter Soldier, talk about it really quick. Jake, do you want to tell them about the casting table before we do that?
Yeah, so guys, we do a separate show on this channel called The Casting Table. You just heard us mention it. We take characters that we know and love and that haven't been in movies in a while or have never been in a movie, and we cast them. We pick our favorite actors and actresses. We've done a ton of episodes. You can go to our channel. There's a casting table playlist, and we have dozens of episodes for someone like from Meg from Hercules to Storm. We just recently did our Fantastic Four characters. We have Namor on there. Yes, we have the Power Rangers villain,
Lord Zed.
Lord Zed. I mean, we do all kinds of stuff.
You just chipped off a piece of Jacob's heart by saying,
I know.
Hey, at least it got mentioned.
But look, we do characters from everything, and yes, because of this movie, we will absolutely be doing Johnny Cage. We will absolutely be doing other characters in the Mortal Kombat universe. It allows us to do a lot of fun things, have an open conversation. Because look, this day and age, fan casting is a big thing. It is a big thing in this universe, and we wanted to put a show around it. And we've done a lot of good episodes with a lot of cool characters. And so, if you guys have characters that we haven't done that you would love to see, let us know. Put it in the chat. Throw us a comment. DM us. DM any one of us. All of our information is down below. But we are happy to do it. We do it about once a month, maybe every 2 or 3 weeks if we're able to get to it. But we really enjoy doing it, and we would love to have so many recommendations from you guys. So
awesome. Can't wait till the next one. And according to Brian and Jake, I'm not allowed to choose Doc Ray Montgomery as Johnny Cage.
no more.
You're not allowed to choose Doc Ray Montgomery for every single casting
he would actually
table.
be a great Johnny Cage. Anyways, let's move on for however much time we have and talk about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I haven't heard Jake's thoughts on this. I want to get Jake's thoughts because he was not on Marvel Rewind, and I also want to get Keith's thoughts. But we can talk about it. I want to go to you, Keith, first. You obviously finished the series. What are your thoughts, man? And let's just jump into it. Spoiler discussion for the rest of the time we have.
That was very good. I really enjoyed it. I kind of wish it was supposed to be. Wasn't it supposed to be originally like a 10-episode thing?
8.
And they had the story. It was 8. Okay. You kind of feel that some parts. There's some stuff that kind of felt like there was some things missing. Some stuff wasn't fleshed out as much as we would have liked. I'm mostly talking about Sharon Carter, her situation, which is fascinating. But here we go. I was gonna say, where's Rachel been? She sat out.
Rachel's been sitting out the entire time until this moment.
Oh wow, that's what we were missing.
Sorry, Rachel. Welcome to the show, Rachel. We're glad to. But mostly the Sharon Carter stuff, which is in a fascinating turn. But okay, we'll see what happens there. But
That's a word.
Although I did hear a theory that she might be a Skrull.
That was Brian.
That's the way to make it make sense.
That was Brian.
Oh, Brian. Okay, you said that. Okay, yeah. So exactly
I
right. That's exactly
blew
right.
Jacob's
So-
mind, or not Jacob's.
No, Geo's, yeah.
Geo's mind.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think that's a strong possibility, but we'll see. But yeah, no. Overall, I love. Obviously, the themes were some heavy stuff that I'm surprised and applaud Marvel for going into. A lot of people are complaining about it. I'm not even gonna. I'm very annoyed with some people's reactions, but I'm trying to ignore all that. But I thought it was very good. I hope we're getting some hints of some Young Avengers stuff, possibly, maybe some Thunderbolt stuff.
We will
Hints.
absolutely.
They're
see
slapping
Eli
you in the face with it at this point.
Brad. We will absolutely
Well,
be seeing Eli
yes
Brad.
and no. We'll see. Yeah. We'll see. Yeah, looking forward to that. But I love I never really thought we would see Sam as Captain America. I know they did it a few years ago in the comics, and I didn't think we'd actually see that in live action. And seeing it was really cool. They set it up obviously throughout this whole show. I really, really enjoyed it. Loved the suit. I enjoyed the series. I'm glad they're going to continue obviously with these two because I love the chemistry between Sebastian Stan and Anthony Mackie. I think they're great together. And I love their blooming friendship on the show. It's heartwarming to me. Being a fan of both those guys, especially Winter Soldier, everything he's been through. I love to see where he ends up into the series. So I thought it was great.
Yeah, I'll just piggyback off and because I wasn't on the latest episode of Rewind, but I will say this: I had said when we did our preview show, I think for it, that the series really needed to do one thing and one thing only, and that is deal with the fact that Falcon is black, and that that he was taking on this mantle, and that in the world that we live in today, socially, it's kind of a big deal, and it didn't start out that
several angles too.
Yeah, and it didn't start out that way, but it transitioned that more than anything. And so I love the way that it finished. That I think my favorite. I love seeing him as Cap with the shield, all that stuff, the suit. But my favorite part was when he was talking to the senators or the people down below after everything was finished on the ground. That's what this series was all about, and they captured it perfectly. And so I'm thankful that they did it. I'm thankful they went there. Stuff with Isaiah was incredible. And so I am just very, very satisfied with what happened, and I'm very excited to see what comes next if all the rumors of true are seeing of Cap 4. So
awesome. Jesse, I know you got to leave here in a few minutes, man. I'm curious on your thoughts of the entire series as a whole and the season finale.
The jackal stays busy. That is true. So overall, I liked the finale. I did not love the finale. I don't think it's the strongest episode of the series. Honestly, I feel like the only character that was properly served was Sam. I think all the emotional beats came from Sam. All my hell yeah moments came from Sam. He had the best action. He had the best, My problem comes, Sam got a well-deserved, well-earned, because he is the lead, and I think Bucky is like the co-lead, but he got like a 5 to 6 minute, really great, well-written monologue at the end. And the way they were trying to close Bucky's story and bring that around is like closing the chapter of the Winter Soldier by having him make amends and come to terms with his past discretions and stuff. And the scene that he had with Yori, I believe his name is about 25 seconds long. Or like, you know, it's just real short. And Yori gets like one line. He just goes like, you know, he asks him why when he admits to murdering his son. He said, I had no choice. And then there's nothing. And then it cuts out.
Yeah, right.
I was like, that's the whole thing. That's the whole
Yeah.
talk. I've been waiting for this to like come to a head. And because we got to see some great cry time stuff with Bucky early on. We know Sebastian Stan can act his way through a scene. So I felt that was cheap. I think we all called Sharon being the power breaker from like episode 3. And so for when they're like, she's the power broker, and we're like, yeah, we know. Like, give us some depth on this now. Make it make more sense than it does. And they're like, oh no, you were just supposed to live off the reveal, and that was supposed to be enough. I'm like, no, it's not enough. So when they get to the end, and there's that post-credit scene, which did not have the same punch as like some WandaVision stuff. I think WandaVision wrapped up way neater. Not to compare apples to oranges or whatever, but it just seemed cleaner. Yeah. So I mean, I'm sorry. I'm trying to cram all these thoughts.
You're
It's
good.
like
You're good. You're good. You're good.
into one thing. Walker was rushed. I'm okay with John Walker having a semi-redemption kind of arc and stuff, but it's like all of a sudden he's slapping Bucky on the shoulder.
Right.
He's making Abe Lincoln quotes, and I was like, you were trying to decapitate him basically like a day or two ago, and now you know you're making. And so that didn't make sense. And then Batroc gets killed very unceremoniously. The Flag Smashers come to a very unceremonious end. So again, it's just like everything with Sam or Sam and Isaiah Bradley, great, fantastic. I wouldn't add or change anything to it, especially like the statue stuff at the end. But yeah, it felt sloppy, but I don't want to harsh on them too bad because I think they had to cut out like a third of like the plot, which is very integral to the story, and so you knew that there was going to be short changes somewhere. So overall, I really love the show. Very excited for Captain America 4, Malcolm Spellman. I think it's a great setup. It's not the worst finale I've ever seen by any means. I mean, the worst episode of Falcon Winter Soldier is better than I would say 90% of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So I'm just going to drop that. People can argue with me if they want to, but Disney Plus is doing great. And especially with Marvel. So anyways, 7.5 out of 10 for me. Enjoyed it. Can't wait for more from the characters.
Yeah, I mean, I loved the season finale, but I get what you're saying with some of that stuff. It especially the Bucky stuff. It was a little rushed at the end, but I still loved the finale. I think I was so focused on Sam that I maybe missed some of those things that I wasn't thinking about.
It was the second viewing that did that to me.
I see.
Like the first time I was like, oh, cool. And then I went and watched it again. I was like, there's some issues here.
That happens with a lot. You're so like invested in what's happening, and you don't look at all the pieces, and then you go back and you're like, okay, well, now that I know what's happening, I can kind of digest it a little bit differently. And I totally get what you're saying about John Walker, and I really enjoyed the character, but I do as well think that the turn happened a little too quickly. But again, it might have been
with Val.
Yeah, and it might have been differently if they had more episodes like they originally were supposed to have. So, but either, I mean, the fact that they had to cut stuff, the series turned out awesome. It's some of my best stuff, or some of my favorite stuff that Marvel's done in a while. And I mean, Sam Wilson is officially Captain America. Badass.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I never thought they'd do it, and that's
I love it.
That's awesome.
I love it, man. Love it.
Jesse, you got to get out of here, I believe, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you for joining us, man. Really appreciate it. I love talking Mortal Kombat with you. I wish I'm down to do it more. Why don't you let our viewers know where they can find you online, and then get out of here.
Absolutely. I'm gonna do this real quick. Here, I'm gonna put it on the chat so anyone can click on that. And you can find me on Flick and Reel, where we talk movies, sometimes TV when it comes to like stuff like Disney Plus, and we do just general movie news discussions and stuff like that. And we've been having a lot of guests on lately. Have PJ Campbell's been becoming a regular occurrence for anyone that's familiar with the Schmodown. Had Bibiani once. We had a really cool video discussing and dissecting the Schmodown, so that was fun. And then Scott Fox being my regular host. This Saturday, at least a couple of these fellows will be coming over to my channel for my birthday / 100 subscribers / engagement celebration. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be raising some
Congratulations.
funds. Thank you so much. We're going to be raising some funds for weddings because they're expensive. And so usually we recycle funds back into the channel, but this one will be a little bit of a selfish stream. So I'll say that outright. I'm not trying to blindside anybody. It is for a specific thing. So hopefully we see a lot of people on there. I know we got like at least 20 guests lined up, so it's going to be a party. We're going to have trivia. There's going to be games. There's going to be fun discussions. I'm going to have Mike over from What the Show. He's going to be telling wedding stories. I don't know if they're going to be horror stories or not. We'll see. So yeah. That's me.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us, man, and we'll hope to have you back soon.
Yeah, we'll see you again, man. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Jesse. I appreciate it, man.
Can't wait.
Later, guys.
Bye, Jesse. And then
Alrighty, so we'll wrap up here in a minute, but was there anything else we wanted to talk about more in depth about Falcon and the Winter Soldier? Like, Jake, you seem like you weren't 100% satisfied with it. So what maybe bothered you?
I was definitely satisfied. I think a lot of my gripes come from both Sharon and John.
Okay. Yeah.
And it obviously, so with Sharon, time will tell. That's the biggest thing is time will tell with her what happens. Because I have a history with the character from the comic books because I read all of Ed Brubaker's run and she was heavily involved in all the runs that were there. And I know that not all properties they adapt perfectly, but I would love for her to be a Skrull. I think it would absolutely make sense to take over someone like Sharon Carter would be very interesting. And where is she? Is she alive? Is she dead? I don't know. Time will tell with the character. As far as John goes, I love the direction they're taking him. But like Jesse had said, I do think that it might have been just a little rushed. I mean, I'm allowed to have my opinion on that.
No, you're not.
The previous episode, they got in a giant fight, and he was like going all crazy. And
John Walker, right?
Yeah.
So it was a little rushed.
I agree.
But for me, the problem is I think he probably should have been punished more than what he shouldn't be able to just jump back into being a hero again right away.
I was
Well,
just going to
but remember,
say
he
he's lucky
wasn't-
he's not in prison.
But he wasn't after episode 5. He was never like arrested or like he was just stripped of what he had. So the punishment was never really there, which I'm fine with. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but he should have never been punished past that because he was never punished like that beforehand. And then he ends up going to save the city in quite a bit of chaos with Sam and Bucky, which obviously puts a better record in your favor. I'm just saying towards the end, I'm not saying the rushing to U.S. agent is rushed. I'm saying the transformation from him literally trying to kill Sam and Bucky to helping them and helping. And, maybe it was a redemption tour and it just happened out that way, but it's such a minor thing for me. Like I really enjoyed what Wyatt Russell did with the character. I enjoy the character of John Walker. I think he's a very cool character. I'm super excited to have him involved in this universe going forward whenever we do see him next. But that's a small thing. It's a really, really small thing. But overall, I really enjoyed it. And I'm excited because just like WandaVision, I don't know if you can give your full satisfaction or thoughts on it until you see what comes next, because this is very much a prologue. WandaVision was a prologue to Doctor Strange 2. This, now that we know it's coming, is very much a prologue to Captain America 4. How do they connect and how does it feel? I think we're going to feel a lot differently on this. Like those people who say the series is average or no, I stopped watching or whatever. First of all, give something a chance for 6 episodes. Second of all, now that we know something else is coming, those people might feel a lot differently after watching that movie towards this series.
True. And I like it because when you get into the movie, he's already Captain America. We don't have to.
This was
again.
the setup. Now we can just go on a Captain America and White Wolf adventure.
Do you think U.S. Agent is going to be a reoccurring Captain America character in Captain America 4 and other properties?
I don't know if it'll be Captain America 4, but he's 100% going to pop up in other properties.
Yes.
I wouldn't be surprised if he pops up in something like Hawkeye. I wouldn't be surprised if he pops up in She-Hulk. I mean, there's a ton of possibilities where he can pop up in because he fits those molds. And obviously, what we know with Val, what she's setting up, that's coming as well. So,
like, he could even just be he could be in Armor Wars. Like, why not? You know,
there's a lot of
there.
They could be setting up West Coast Avengers, of which he is a member. So,
yeah,
and
there's a
Hawkeye
lot of
as well.
things that could be happening. Exactly.
So, yeah.
The West Coast Avengers, Thunderbolts, Dark Avengers. There's like 4 different teams that they can literally be setting up. So,
yeah,
very, very true.
My biggest gripe, just super fast, was the Carly character. Only because she started off, and I don't like. And again, I don't know how the series was originally going to play out. I know there was a storyline, obviously, with a virus outbreak and all that stuff, and they changed it and shortened it, all that stuff. So, but I just don't like that. You know, she started off with what it seemed to be a kind of a just another one of those villains where, okay, I kind of get what she's saying, and then next thing you know, she's killing people, killing civilians, and it just kind of reduced her to just made her kind of one note in the second half of the series, where now she has no problem with killing people, and I didn't like that. Didn't like that. And, you know, I get that they just want to give somebody a punch in. I would have liked it better. I would have preferred it if I was writing it. If Keith was writing this series, it would have had one of her colleagues make that turn, and she be the one to be like, "Hey, that's too far."
But she was the one killing people, and they were all not even. They weren't even on. Like, remember when they tried to get her to say "one people, one world"? They didn't even want to say it.
They were saying, they're like, "Hey, you're going too far." I would have preferred it to be the other way around, because then I thought that her death, if it had to happen, would have been a little more impactful at the end. And with everything that his speech he was making, which I will admit was a little heavy-handed, I will admit, but I thought it was spot on. I really enjoyed it. But just the fact that he's asking, you don't just stop to ask why people were following her. And I think if she hadn't become a murderer, that would have felt better about that. But that's my biggest gripe with the series, is that character.
Yeah, I mean, I still enjoyed it overall. For me, it hit the major things that I was looking for. You know,
I agree. I absolutely.
To me, the Flag Smashers and Carly, I didn't love them, but they worked for what they were. You know, I agree. They put Sam and Bucky in the right places to tell this story.
Gave them some people to punch.
Yeah, because they can't just fight mortal beings, right? Except maybe Batroc. Sam couldn't even beat him. Well, any last thoughts on this series, guys? We're looking for we're doing Bad Batch next for Fandalorian Club, and then Loki's on June 11th. Looking forward to that.
There's a lot.
I'm curious to see how Loki connects into this Marvel story that's being told.
Yeah, it'll be exciting. Do they go? Yeah. How long is Bad Batch?
Bad Batch at the moment.
We just announced 13 today.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So they'll
be running at the same time.
Interesting.
So we'll have to figure that out on our end.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, maybe I have to make this show a little bit shorter to fit both in, but we'll see.
30 minutes each.
Maybe. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Looking
forward to that.
What'd you say, Brian? What'd you say?
Fanda Rewind.
That's good. That's actually good. That's good.
Yeah,
that could work. Well, that should do it then for this episode of Apocaflix Now. Talking Mortal Kombat, talking Falcon the Winter Soldier. We could talk Mortal Kombat even longer, man. I wish we could.
I'm sure we will on a casting table. I'm sure we will.
Oh, that's a good point. Well, thank you all for joining us in the chat. We couldn't do it without you guys. You guys make it very well worth our time here. And Keith, man, why don't you say goodbye and where people can find you online?
Yeah, Keith, say goodbye.
Did he freeze?
Goodbye, and where people can find you online.
And Jake Berlin.
Yeah, you can find me a lot of places. Qui-Gon Jake, 2 N's because someone else took it before I did. Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff. Mainly Twitter. I'm here multiple times a week doing Apocaflix movies. I love this place, doing all kinds of cool things. I want to give a big shout out to Jesse for joining us. I know he's a busy guy. He just finished talking Mortal Kombat 90 minutes, like 15 minutes before he jumped on with us. So big kudos to that guy. Obviously, I'm on a certain point of view multiple times this week for Schmodown stuff, reactions, and a main show. Check out yesterday's show, guys. We got to sit down with Dan Murrell. Very cool.
Nice.
Very cool conversation. Very thankful to have him on. And then I also do a little show called The Whiskey Jedi. There will be an episode out next week. There's a bunch of episodes on my own channel. You can check that out. But mainly here, guys. Mainly here.
Man, I thought that was a Whiskey Jedi hat at first. I was like, that is sick.
It says I missed the cut.
Yeah, okay.
And I'm being thrown in the trash can.
Oh, that's pretty cool. And Brian,
wherever you can find Jake, you can find me. So Apocaflix and a certain point of view. And then
can't find you on Whiskey Jedi except only when you're a guest. What now?
I haven't been asked
there anymore. Can't say that anymore.
When's the Tequila Sith coming out?
When's Tequila Sith? Whenever it feels like.
So never.
Alrighty. Well, you can find me on Twitter at Jacob Bartley 824. Go ahead.
I'm back down to 99. I've lost someone.
Oh, what?
I lost a follower.
Oh, go subscribe to Keith. Or go follow Keith, everybody. Go follow Keith.
It was because of your Mortal Kombat comments earlier, man.
It might be. Maybe. At Keith Barnes 79.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Twitter, you can find me there at Jacob Bartley 824. I also do a Power Rangers podcast weekly called Off the Grid. You can find that on YouTube. And I also cover fantasy football. The NFL draft is this Thursday. There we go.
Yes.
He gets his plug in. If you are a football fan,
Can't say, but make sure that plug comes.
And a fantasy football fan, check us out this Thursday. We'll be going live during the draft and reacting to the picks. So that should be a lot of fun. And if either of you three want to hop on and say hi, you're more than welcome to. Maybe around pick 17.
It is, I'm gonna hop in and say hi, and then
what about pick 17? Pick 17, Jake, Oakland Raiders. We'll see.
They're gonna flub that up anyway. So,
thank you all again for watching us. Please check out our audio podcasts. You can find the links to those in the description below. Also, find our merchandise as well: Apocaflix t-shirts, mugs, and a bunch of other stuff. The links are down below at TeePublic. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time. Peace out.